Welcome to I Know What You Watched Last Week. Apparently the greatest horror movie review show on the web.
Who said that?
Yeah, I wonder who could have said that. And this week we have a very special collection of...
You didn't like any of them?
They were definitely not the worst thing I've ever seen.
No. Certainly not on this show.
But there were... Yeah,
That's not saying much,
there
so.
was a lot that had me just baffled, not in a good way.
If you can't tell, I've recently been working out, like, about an hour ago. Of course you can tell. And I was just thinking, you're a trained nutritionist and personal trainer, because, you can do it all. The routine that I'm on, the regimen, I call it the Sheen routine, named after the one and only Charlie. And what it entails is just taking, a couple of shots of hard liquor, alcohol, and then lifting heavy things afterwards. And do you think that's a viable business thing? Because there's all these fitness things everywhere, like do this diet, then this exercise, and yada, yada, yada. If you just do what I just did, do you think there's a market for that?
There might be a market for it, but it's terrible advice from a health standpoint.
But there's a market for it. No, we'll get right on that then, right after this.
So that had nothing to do with the movies. I
just want people
just
to
wanted
see
to
a little
talk
little
about-
snippet into our personal life.
into your personal life. The eccentric artiste whilst I work away.
I'm always working. It never shuts off.
Anyway, do you want to, without further ado, introduce the titles of the three films?
Let's see. Well, I don't even remember what the name of the first one was. Something like Rough Seas or whatever. Dead Calm 2.
What we don't know what it was called. Genuinely,
I
because
don't know.
remember. You put it on and then fell asleep promptly after.
Exactly. I fell asleep.
No, this won't do. Okay, so you can just go ahead and introduce the next two whilst I look up what it was actually called, if I can.
It's a Paramount subscription movie about people on a boat. People who go jet skiing, and then it goes very wrong for them. They get picked up by a guy on a boat.
You're not supposed to jump straight into the explanation of the film. We haven't even mentioned the other two.
We don't even know the title yet, so
But
I've
that's what
got
I'm
to
looking
give
for.
people something.
I feel like we should just start this whole episode again. Just come out as you being a
Titles.
drink and workout person
Titles
and not knowing
aren't
the
that
title.
important when the movie is, of this caliber.
I don't even know where to begin to look. So I got onto IMDb and then I was just lost. Right, let's try that again. So why don't you recount 3 movies that we watched, John?
I can recount 2.5 of them, but we started off with Dead Sea, which is your kind of genre.
We knew that all
This
along.
is your kind of subgenre, Peril at Sea, because you love Dead Calm starring Marlon Brando / Billy Zane. And Nicole Kidman, right? And Sam Neill, your other favourite. So yeah, this is just seemed to be a rip-off of that. But I've been fighting an infection for like the past 2 weeks, so I kept
Man flu.
I kept falling asleep during the movies, and this one
Is that what you're blaming it on?
I didn't bother to go back to. The other two I rewatched in my own time, but this one I was like, nah, I'm not going back to watch the rest of Dead Sea. So automatically for me, that's gonna clearly finish, obviously, bottom.
You've completely ruined our usual order of things.
It's just
Would you
obvious because I haven't even watched it
Just say the
yet.
next 2 movies.
The Gallows Act II. What can I say? The next one now.
Yes, please.
Escape Puzzle of Fear, not Escape Room something something something.
Which again, when I asked
Which is
you
what you
while we
look
were
for a while.
watching, you were like, "Oh, it's called Escape Room." I'm pretty sure it's not, John. So, okay, you've already given away your lowest ranking because you didn't watch it, and you also weren't really enjoying it.
I saw
before
40
you
minutes of it. That
nodded
was
off.
enough to know that I didn't want to go back to it. Plus, once you did that great impression of the guy in the movie, which I haven't seen him perform it yet, but once I saw your impression, there's no way that it's going to get better than that. So what was the point in watching it? So
You might be graced with it later on.
I'm not even joking.
Okay, so how do you rank the other 2 then, in order? Starting with second place and then first.
I'm gonna put. I can't believe this. Gallows Act II in second place, and number one movie escape puzzle or fear. How do you like it?
Well, I can't
I
say
doubt
it
many
was
people have seen Escape Puzzle of Fear.
super obvious this week, but that was not what I saw coming. Because I think Escape Puzzle of Fear gets number 3 ranking from me. And then
It could have gone in any order, let's face
Gallows
it.
Act II.
Right,
So we agree on second place. And then I
So it's not surprising that you put your favourite subgenre
Dead Sea?
top, Dead Sea.
Dead
Yeah.
Sea gets the gold.
It might as well be Dead Calm Part 2. Let's face it. Just doesn't have
No,
anyone
it
in
doesn't
it.
have the same riveting soundtrack.
It doesn't have the same riveting anything.
When there's like intense breathing as a soundtrack, I love it.
And Billy Zane and Sam
Billy
Neill.
Zane.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are we gonna... See, I've still got this infection. I shouldn't be laughing so much. It's going to affect
No,
my
but you should be
my
drinking
throat.
and working out.
Yeah, well, that's my new regimen.
Right.
That's how you retain this type of body.
How do we pick which third place to go with then? Should we do the one that you slept through
Yeah, I'd love to hear about the rest of the movie.
along with my
A
brilliant
little
impression?
bit. Yeah, definitely the impression, because that's what sold me on not going back to it. It's just, it ain't getting better than that. But I'm sure it just would have been just a waste of time going back to it,
So-
even if it's your number one.
My overall thoughts on this, and I'm the only one qualified to say this much because you didn't watch most of it, but my overall thoughts, without giving away anything yet of the story, was the build-up was way too much of the same thing. It took ages for anything interesting to start to happen.
I mean, all the nice ocean
But
scenery and stuff.
once it got into it, as much as I could, well, I think I can tell, I haven't actually looked it up to back it up, but I think this was quite low budget. But
Barely even knew the name of this movie.
I didn't hate the premise or where it went after that
We've
so much.
You know, we've already laid that out clear for everybody, because this is your favourite subgenre of thriller / suspense, kind of a little bit horror.
So again, I guess you can't give away any spoilers, but what did you make of the small amount you did watch? Where did you think this was going? You don't know how the story progressed, do you? Oh wait, I told you, didn't I?
I don't think you told me everything.
So where did you think this was going? Because I thought this was going to be a shark movie at the beginning. I didn't know that. I hadn't read the right.
Yeah, I didn't read the write-up either. I just saw
So
the
it
image,
definitely seemed like shark
Dead Sea.
movie.
And or maybe I did see. No, I definitely didn't watch a trailer. I just saw that you would like it because of the Dead Calm parallel. And yeah, I saw no sharks. I don't remember. Was there a shark in it? No.
No. There was
No
a lot of
sharks.
time of them at
So
sea. So I just
sharks is
assumed
your
that's
other
where it
favourite
was gonna
genre,
go.
so that was a bit of a letdown for you then, I guess.
Yeah, but at least this one, like I said, I thought it was going to be a shark movie, so when it turned out not to be, that made it more interesting, because like there's only so far you can go with a shark movie, and I've seen a lot of
Instead
them.
it's some like blogger guys like, yo, we're going water skiing, from Florida to the Bahamas, yo, woo! And then he like GoPros himself, and then we just see loads of footage of jet skiing just to fill time,
Yes.
it seemed.
Super long build-up,
Yeah.
which proves quite unnecessary, because without further ado, I'm going to enlighten you and get into some of the spoiler details. Spoiler.
What, like a jet ski to the head and stuff like that.
So yeah, the whole real storyline kicks off when the two guys who are going way too fast because they're being reckless and aren't even wearing helmets,
The other guy's kind of understated.
inevitably
and cool and talk slowly.
crash
He's
with their female
mysterious.
passengers as well. And we get straight into the deaths. I say straight into, but there's been a long build-up already, where one of the guy's jet skis actually runs over the other guy's head. So he's just like, he's out for the count.
Yeah.
We've cut our 4 characters down to 3.
No more blogging for him.
Yeah, he doesn't even
Yeah.
get to go on to the next part of the story, which is not sharks.
Does he come back?
No.
No, so he's
I
just
mean,
gone
he's got
forever.
a jet ski to the head at full speed.
Yeah, but
He's not going to come back
Given
from
what
that.
kind of movie this was, I wouldn't be surprised if he,
No, and the other
took
guy...
the ship at the end.
So one guy's down, the other guy is pretty badly injured. You can see like bone coming out of flesh and whatnot.
That's the guy they harvest, right?
It just goes, yes, it is. Well done.
She had to tell me that because I didn't see that.
So
bit.
I was going to build to it a little bit, but yeah, the three survivors, one with his bone sticking out, and one of the girls with some sort of impact injury to the
my
torso,
stomach,
I think.
my stomach hurts. That was the majority of her dialogue.
And then the other girl, the main girl, who surprisingly just seems completely unscathed by all of this. So they get fished out of the water by some like dingy-looking, young, very athletic fisherman
with a beard.
I think. Yeah.
Bearded fisherman.
Dirty boat, dirty man.
Dirty man.
Dirty
Bastard,
all
dirty boat.
And of course at first the three survivors of the jet ski crash think, well, this is salvation, but they are wrong. Swiftly the two girls, who are most able-bodied, are put down below decks and locked in, and we start to see there's like, I mean, this boat didn't look this big from the outside. Once we get in, there's like 8 bunk beds or something, and like markings scratched into
like
walls and stuff
prison.
to make it obvious that people have been kept there before and for a certain amount of time. Whereas the guy who's pretty much out for the count at this point is still up on deck, and
This movie just sounds really boring.
it's a slow burn, but now finally
I'm bored of this.
Finally, so the girls still have no idea why they're actually being kept there. But then this dude comes on his super expensive yacht, and he comes to like inspect the girls, and turns out he's like a doctor.
Guy,
He's a doctor. And then he makes his assessment. The guy's not going to live. The girl with the impact probably won't survive long, but keep the third one fresh. And then he begins to set up this surgical station on his dingy, gross, dirty fishing boat, and he begins to harvest this guy's organs, and it's somewhat
these are going to be contaminated
gruesome.
organs by the sounds
Well, you
of
would
it.
have thought so, but it looks clean the way he's doing it, but not where he's doing it. And the like non-injured girl kind of sees this, and she also started to like shave away bits of rust that she noticed someone else before her had been doing to try and get one of the like, I don't know the terms, like
So
some sort of hole.
She's got like a Shawshank escape plan figured out then, yeah.
And it kind of comes to a head when they come back down. So they've got the first guy's organs, then they go back down and get the injured girl up, and you know they set her up in the same way. So we know what's going to happen.
Does she become organless?
She does not, because the other girl manages to scrape that rust away just in time, get out, pick up a few weapons, eventually deciding on a harpoon gun. Yeah.
Fisherman's weapon
and
of choice.
of course it's really practical because the guy who owns the boat is off somewhere on this tiny boat, but far enough away not to know what's going on, it seems. And the girl with the harpoon gun then confronts the doctor. Doctor's out. Gets a harpoon to the chest. And the friend is still alive, but she's tied to the table. And of course, while she's being freed from the table, fisherman guy gets involved, and it's all, you know, crazy. Now this bit is where it started to get really annoying. This got really annoying because...
So you're with the movie until this point then?
The doctor, from his expensive yacht, had travelled over to this fishing dinghy in like a speedboat type thing, which has been tied to the side of it, right, this whole time. And the two girls, instead of getting into the boat, thinking that would be the safest option, decide to leave it there, just plop into the cold ocean at night time and try and swim over to the anchored yacht. Mistake number 1. Then, of course, the injured girl is too weak, and our main girl, who happens to be a brilliant swimmer, can make it, so she's forced to leave her friend to float off in the nothingness of the night.
Is she gone now? So she survived an organ harvesting, and now she's not going to survive being left alone at sea.
Well, the doctor said she wasn't going to live long.
With a bad stomach at night, is she?
Now our girl makes it to this expensive yacht, sees the laptop of the doctor open on a bidding site, so it turns out this is where they sell the organs.
Yeah.
And by this point, obviously, a fisherman bloke has noticed where they're going, and he also swims over to get the girl. The girl manages to contact the Coast Guard or something.
Would you suggest that he take the speedboat as well over?
And now, the final annoying thing...
No.
Well, he'd already punctured it by this point, but I didn't feel the need to mention that. So the final
lost.
thing is she's now on this yacht and she's made contact with Coast Guard and she's been told a way to send out a signal on the GPS for them to come and save her.
Right.
And all she needs to do, this thing is activated by the touch of water. So she just needs to get it off the boat.
And that's handy because she's in the ocean.
She's saved, yeah.
On the ocean.
You would think this would be a pretty simple task given the location, but apparently not. It takes a frustratingly long amount of time of her walking around this yacht, clutching it whilst trying to get away from Fisherman Guy. I was like, just chuck it and get away. Oh, it was very frustrating. Of course, Fisherman Guy stabs her in the stomach.
And
she's still got it in her hands.
So now both girls got a bad stomach.
And then we think it's all over at this point. She then...
it was over for me.
This is the best bit.
I was knocked out.
She then takes a flare gun.
Oh yes, here we come.
She takes a flare gun and from a apparent deathbed shoots the flare into Fisher Boy's mouth and his whole face just kind of does a slow explosion. And that's, how he is found when eventually the GPS is rolled off the edge of the boat in an anticlimax.
That bit almost makes it sound worth watching, but I'd rather just, fast forward to the end
And
rather than sit through everything else.
I think the final scene is, it's a thinker because we see the two girls, they manage to find her friend as well, floating in the wilderness of the sea. The two girls both...
The wilderness of the sea.
Both survive. And we see them on, the gurney as the paramedics are sort of taking them off to be... whatever, healthified. So yeah, what does this signify? What does this mean? Why did the two boys die and why did the girls both survive despite bad premonitions from medical professionals with bad morals?
Well, it's not unexpected, is it?
I thought for sure the girl with the injury must be
You should
dead.
know better than this now that, doesn't matter how many times a strong woman gets stabbed or run over by a jet ski, she will survive all of this, even if she's marooned at sea.
What I will give this, though, was it was a little bit more unexpected than a shark movie, so that was a plus. And I actually thought the main actress was perfectly watchable, which is more than I can say about some of the other performances in the next films we'll discuss.
Wonder what that one is. Surely it can't be my number one pick.
Shall we move on to number 2 now?
Which is the Gallows Act II, which follows the Gallows, which you haven't seen.
Never seen it.
Yeah, you don't really.
So I went into this completely blind.
To see the Gallows to appreciate.
You don't need to see the Gallows.
The Gallows Part 2.
Either.
No, you just don't need to see it. Yeah, it's well put.
Instead, just watch this and then thank yourself for not having spent that time.
Yeah, one of the reasons that it went on was because it lasts something like an hour and 20 minutes. I thought, oh, this will be quick.
It felt more like 3 hours.
It was pretty long going, yeah.
Well, I guess could you give a quick summary of what this is supposed to be about?
Yeah, our main character Orna wants to be an actress, and in doing so, she finds that doing the Charlie Charlie challenge online and reading excerpts from the Gallows play seems to ensure that she will be a good actress, and she uses that until she thinks it's not too good an idea anymore, but then is tricked into pretty much using it again.
Now, I have a question for you.
And that's the basic premise, and there's all these other things around it.
Yeah, and my question is, with that premise, and whilst we're watching it versus afterwards, is this to you a supernatural horror?
I thought it was going to be. I thought it was supposed to be at first, and it turns out that clearly it's not.
This is my major thing that I want to get into with this, baffling. Because that was the ending was the weirdest thing about it, and I feel like almost like saving it.
Did you expect a good ending considering what you'd already seen on screen?
I thought the performance of our main girl was again not bad.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, if you want to hate the character, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard not to hate that kind of character.
Well, I mean, she turns up the first thing we
She's very
see,
annoying.
the first time we see of her is she's talking into her laptop, either live streaming or making a video for Tube of the U. And she's like, woohoo, I reached 1 million followers. Just joking, I still got like 200, but maybe one day. Then that has a little cry to us, and it's like, so it's my first day of school tomorrow. I'm like, no wonder you haven't got any followers, you know.
Well,
it's my
yeah,
first
I
day
mean,
at Fellbrook Academy.
Not a fan of the no driving reason behind a thing. Like, just explaining your day-to-day life doesn't necessarily cut it. But
No,
you know.
it doesn't cut it.
I found the
For
weirdest
some
point.
people it seems
so
to.
She's somehow been transferred to this school which is known to be prestigious for their acting course.
Yeah, no, so she's going to school, and her name.
So she's new.
Her name is Anna, you know, and just by playground rules, you know, and expectations, she's gonna have a hard time. You know, gets on a date. Oh, did you get Anna? Oh, I got Anna. We all got Anna. So you're just asking for it in terms of, you know, playground life. So that's the first mistake.
That is so dumb.
That they've named her. It's not very satisfying. Anna. It's not a very satisfying name to say.
I'm glad we got that opinion from you. But when we finally see her at this, you know, acting class the first time, and there's like a few other students, obviously, and they're supposed to be...
Before she gets to the acting class, she you know, it shows her walking down the corridor of this new school, and she's looking around like, ooh, people, ooh, oh, I'm so happy there are people. And then, like you say, she goes now into the theatre, and there are two actors doing a scene. They're talking to each other with the script in front of them, and she just walks through them like, again. I'm like, straight away, I hated her so much. I was like, I don't want this annoying little twerp in my class. She just walked through a scene.
So, yeah, she
Thought she wants to be an actress.
She gets to her class, and...
Unforgivable.
So this whole time, yeah, she's been portrayed as someone who mostly lives online and doesn't necessarily do that to the degree that she wants to be.
Which says that she's not really a committed actress, is she? She's hooking more for online fame. She'll take the easy way.
And, yeah, she's presented as very wide-eyed and quite shy, I suppose.
Literally at some points, walking through the corridor.
But then, as soon as the, like, teacher of this class, by the way, they've obviously, they're into the school year.
Yeah, well, you can tell he's the tutor, the drama, because he's wearing a scarf indoors.
So anyway, these students have been practicing.
So that's how you can tell.
These students have been practicing. Can I please talk
this is an
without
X-rated
being
episode.
pestered? So these students have been practicing their end of year monologues for their like showcase or whatever for a while, and Anna, again, this shy, retiring character, just suddenly
it was the first day, or was it just her first day?
No, it's her first day. She's
joined right at the end of the school year. This doesn't sound realistic to me.
So she volunteers to go first and show everyone her monologue. And we then find out, like, first of all, what is she doing? Because as soon as she gets up there, she gets, like, immediate stage fright and can barely get a word out. And then we find out that her monologue is from this, like, movie she's obsessed with, which looks like a kind of like, you know, Princess Diaries. Like, it's a young girl's kind of film.
Are you talking about the movie that she decides to watch by sitting on a public toilet?
Yes. Because that's where her like monologue is from, and we see the poster in her room, and we see like flashbacks. That's the whole reason she wanted to get into acting.
The movie looks like the never-ending story.
Trash.
It looks like the never-ending story.
But I was just like, what kind of
bedroom.
Actor who wants to be taken seriously on their first day of drama class in this prestigious school wants to do some like kiddie book?
If I wasn't
dialogue.
already put off by her by walking down the corridor like that, and then interrupting the scene, and then standing up and doing her monologue and being crap, she then. You know, and we've seen it 1,000 times. She goes to the girls' bathroom, locks herself in a cubicle, and just sits on the toilet. And I thought, oh, all right, once the other girls have left the toilet, she'll come out. But instead, she just gets herself comfortable, puts on her earphones, opens her laptop, and just starts watching a movie. I'm like, now you've already done this stuff before. Now I'm thinking, I don't want to be acting with the girl and around the girl who's just been sat in a toilet for like God knows how long watching this movie. It's not even her own toilet; it's a public bathroom.
Yeah, I don't feel like Hollywood ever seems to pay much consideration to bathroom hygiene.
Have you ever watched a movie in a toilet?
People are just sitting there. No.
Has anyone ever watched a movie
not a public toilet.
in a toilet? Exactly.
Avoid them at as much as possible.
So
but,
yeah,
you know.
my opinion just flatlined on her even more after that.
But, yeah, anyway, I was also going to say, the reason that I thought this film was, without a doubt, supernatural, is that apparently the way to take part in this Charlie challenge that she's seen other people go viral for, and of course she wants to go viral, is to read out a script called The Gallows?
Yeah, the Gallows play. Yeah.
Yeah. So she just like reads little bits of it on live stream or something like that. And yeah, lo and behold, she gets loads of views.
The premise from the first movie is now just turned into an online challenge.
She gets loads of views, and there are like supernatural things happening in her videos that she wasn't aware of.
Yeah,
So we see things like flying,
whatever,
all of this stuff. So it seems quite clear that this Charlie challenge thing is actually supernatural, and she did it for attention, but now it's like, oh no, I can't deal with consequences, and she starts getting a like physical manifestation of something as well. So it just seems even more.
That's clearly a supernatural bit, yeah, but tied in for no reason because it's not a supernatural movie.
Another supernatural bit is that she, after a while, gets scared of what's going on with this gallows thing and how much it's affecting her life. So she decides she's not going to think about it anymore. She's trying to get rid of it, and she doesn't want to do it as her monologue anymore, even though she did a brilliant job of doing her monologue, apparently.
Jumped way far forward. If we go back to when she does her first monologue and fails it, she's unbeknownst to her being peeped at by what looks like the fifth male lead in something like High School Musical, the character called Cade, and he's taken a liking to Anna, and later on we see him in the school field or whatever you want to call it outside. Orna's in the field ploughing, and Cade's with his bros, and he sees Orna. He's like, yo, I'm gonna go talk to Anna, and he brings up how embarrassing she was in class, which isn't very good for his chances, but she lets it go because she must love High School Musical, I guess. Yeah,
so they start a relationship.
Yeah.
They start dating.
Cade's parents are famous actors that she's aware of as well. And we get to find out that his parents are famous actors because Cade takes Anna on an ice cream date. And the reason she gets asked out on the ice cream date is because she comes back into school and does her second monologue and kills it. And now she's got friends. And Cade walks up to her and is like, hey, let's get some ice cream, but not before her phone is seen like pinging, ping, 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 ping. And Cade's like, whoa, your phone is blowing up. Yeah, that was the overwhelming memory of Cade.
She's going viral.
Yeah, she's going viral.
But anyway, so
isn't it riveting?
I know I jumped further ahead, but it was because I was trying to prove my point of all the signs that this is supernatural. So in trying to get rid of the script, it just shows up in her hands. She'll like rip it to pieces. It will be whole again. She can't not do the monologue from the gallows every time she stands up to perform, even if she's consciously trying to do something else.
Yeah.
And then she has memory blackouts from it as well. So people have to be like, wow, that was amazing. You did the gallows thing so well. And she's like, what? I did the gallows? Yeah. So it's undeniably supernatural,
we haven't mentioned that when Anna gets to Fellbrook, she moves in with her sister who's already at the school. And I hate her sister as well.
I don't think she's at the school. She's working.
Or she's
preparing for like some
design showcase. Either way, her roommate is her sister, basically.
There was also this whole sub-story.
I didn't like her.
Of like...
She was even more annoying than Orna.
She was annoying. There was a whole sub-story of like Anna's family...
Oh, Anna, you slept in, you lazy bitch.
Not being supportive of her.
And no one supports Orna's...
back quite a lot. So... I personally want to now go straight to the ending, because I feel like that's the biggest weird point for me now. How about you? Is there something else you wanted to say before that, or can I reveal?
No, you can reveal, and I'll see if I've missed anything.
So, now to reveal what happens, and that makes me question.
Something we should reveal is that
is this supernatural?
During her online life, she's been contacted by someone called Almost Famous 99 who has a blank profile.
Oh, right, and he's the one who brought her on to the Charlie challenge.
He's saying to her, basically, if you do this Charlie challenge, look how many views these people get doing the Charlie challenge. If you do it, you're certain to get views.
And then it starts to get threatening as much as everything
She tries to get rid of him and all this and blocks him. But who could it be? Who could Almost Famous 99 be? Who could it possibly be?
And now we get right to the end of the film, and she and
Wait,
Cade...
what about when Cade takes Orna up in his treehouse? Even though that... And they start making out, but Orna is just saying the dialogue from the play while she's making out, so she's like...
I can't say that's how I recollect things.
Yeah, she's just talking all over his face while they make out. Talk. He's...
Sexy.
Well, I'm not sure he likes it, so...
But he and Anna end up being... I think they were kidnapped to be brought to a set of double gallows, right?
Yeah, Almost Famous 99 has sent her a picture of the gallows, which he's built himself.
Yeah, building this view. And we're sort of...
Who is he?
Like the masked gallows man that's been tormenting her psychologically or whatever shows up in the flesh. And again, there's this thing about how there has to be a sacrifice, a willing sacrifice to end this.
Yeah,
and
makes perfect sense.
Cade selflessly decides to sacrifice himself so that she can get away.
She won't have it.
But even though he's probably already like past gone as far as she knows, she decides, I might as well die as well. So she's like, take me instead. Take me instead.
It's nice that he sacrifices himself for her, and
then
before the sacrifice he says, I love you! Considering they've only met in the field and had one ice cream date, that's a pretty whirlwind romance.
So then she does also get dropped through the trapdoor.
Yeah, she gets gallowed.
Turns out the guy who did this in the mask is not Almost Famous 999.
Just 2 nines.
99.
Almost Famous 99.
Because Cade is in fact Almost Famous 99, and he got dropped with like a body harness thing, so it just looked like he got killed, but he was fine. Nothing supernatural about it either, because it was all rigged up. And then all of these other, like his family members and other people that we've seen throughout the film, all just kind of step forward and take their masks off, so we can see all of them. They're all apparently involved, and they're really happy with how things have turned out. Great success. And then finally, we see bloody Cade, Almost Famous 99, going to his little GoPro thing, which has been recording the whole thing, and it turns out he's set the whole thing up for his online views.
And
Is that what I'm getting from this?
His parents are very proud of him.
Very proud.
And the kid that gets bullied for being, scrawny in school, he turns up, so he had that scene meant a lot when Orna sticks up for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's revealed to be a naughty boy as well.
So are they suggesting with this film then that it's both supernatural and just like some online
They must be
stunt?
suggesting it's supernatural, because there's literally a scene where like a towel or a sheet gets thrown in the air and there's no one standing there,
right.
but then the towel or the sheet takes the shape of someone standing underneath it.
Oh, and Anna's sister, the tailor or designer,
annoying.
whatever she is, she gets killed by an invisible presence strangling her with the measuring tape.
Yeah.
So, I don't think you can deny that this is supernatural, but then why is the whole thing on GoPro?
Maybe Cade is dead. Maybe they're all
Are they
ghosts.
all just ghosts.
They're all ghosts. Yeah, they've all been hung previously.
And they live on through the Charlie
And now
Charlie
Orna's going to
challenge.
come back to life as a ghost and join them, and they're all going to go off together and get the next person that I guess gets punished for watching movies on public toilets and things. That's the moral of the story. This twist felt like, they really wanted to have some shocking last minute change, but it was God moment.
It was shocking in like a bad way, because I just thought, what?
Yeah. It's not like the movies, the standard of the movie was high before the ending either. So it's not like I was expecting a good ending, but this one really decided to go under the limits of what is acceptable. And I can't, again, not surprised. Once upon a time, I used to look forward to, movies by Blumhouse. When their symbol came up, when their intro came up, I was like, oh, good, might be in for something pretty interesting here. But it hasn't been the case for a very long time now, and this movie is a perfect example of that. And it has, dumb jump scares as well, which you've seen coming a mile off. Nothing wrong with a jump scare if it's any good and actually gets you, but I mean, you can see it coming every single time. You can set your watch to it. It was so obvious. And of course, all the problems of the main character. I've only got 200 followers or whatever, and this is such. Are we supposed to sympathise with this toilet dwelling woman? because I certainly didn't. And also, like, I hate stupid social network plot inserts. Stop with that, unless it's like something absolutely ridiculous, like your favourite, what's that called, Unfriended, where everyone has a laptop screen. It's like, oh no, something's in my house. Luckily, they only last about an hour long.
Yeah. So would not.
I mean, the Gallows in the first place wasn't great. It wasn't absolutely awful. Really low budget, but this is almost like watching Blair Witch 2 after Blair Witch. It's that level of a fool. I feel like what the hell? Where did this come from? And I think they're trying to set up for a franchise. I'm not sure if it's a Gallows 3, but
hopefully I never find out.
Well, I'm going to check now, so you will find out.
And the final film to review this week.
My number one.
Your number one and my last place.
The most deserving of last place and first place equally.
Oh my god! I mean, you can't say this movie didn't elicit a reaction.
What about the title?
It did.
Escape, Puzzle of Fear. Doesn't that just...
Yeah, pretty sick.
That grabs you. Great title.
It's really not very good at sticking in my memory because I had to keep reminding myself what it was. I was like, wait.
What stuck in my memory was it opens with, Protein Jesus in bed, and his girlfriend wakes up, and straight away Jesus is there. He's like...
Oh, he's such a douche.
And then he's getting pleasured straight away during this movie. It's the first thing that I remember. And while he's being pleasured, the camera then cuts from like the side to the front of him, and there's no one there. He just looks like he's humping the air. Remember, there's just no one.
No. It was because they're obviously insinuating her head is under the sheet, and he has his hand supposedly on the back of her head, but his hand doesn't move.
Yeah.
That's what it was. His hand never moves.
So that's the opening.
Maybe
Protein
he has a
Jesus is
vagina?
getting pleasured by his girlfriend, and then he leaves the house.
Yeah, we're being set up to be... It's very clear. This guy is rich, successful, happy, and knows that.
And also one of the worst characters I've ever seen on screen.
Oh my gosh. I also found him, personally, to my taste, quite disgusting. So the fact that he was supposed to be painted as some sort of sex god was quite...
Yeah, because it's not just his own girlfriend that wants him. His best friends come over, one of them being Cuba Gooding Jr.'s brother or something, I think, in real life. I think it's Omar Gooding, one of Cuba Gooding Jr.'s brothers, I think, is in this movie as Protein Jesus' best friend. And Omar and his girlfriend, they've come to visit Protein Jesus at his house, so they're shown to their bedroom. And as they're getting, settled or whatever, Omar's girlfriend leaves the room, goes to the window, peeps outside where, again, muscly Jesus is now in the pool, and he's looking up at the window like,
I'm so hot.
And then she begins to pleasure herself. She's playing with herself.
In a state of undress.
And this is all happening in the opening 5 minutes. So he's getting a lot of attention from the ladies.
Yeah, well, like I said, this guy's painted as, I guess, most guys' dream life. Like, he's, apparently irresistible. And he basically picks up a married woman with a toddler at some bakery as well.
Yeah, he goes to get some coffee. And he ends up paying for this woman who's in front of him because she's forgotten her purse. He's like, oh, I got you. I'll get that for you. And she's like, oh my God, I don't have it. He's like, no, I'll pay for the coffee. And then they go outside and they're having a conversation by her car, and he ends up giving her a card or something like that. Yeah,
well, you haven't even said she's gotten off the phone from speaking to her husband
with her
toddler and being like, yeah, I'll be home in a second, honey. And then she accepts his business card and is like, yeah, maybe I will call you.
Yeah, and then sends nudes. So again, the ladies just can't resist this guy. But when they go into the coffee shop, did you notice the checkout guy? Because
I don't remember that detail.
I couldn't forget it. It was the most hideous man bun hipster beard combo I've ever come across, and there have been some absolute shockers, but this one was on another level. It's almost like when the casting call went out for this guy, it was like hipster number one. And if I saw someone looking like that in a coffee shop, I'll just walk back out. They've lost my custom. I haven't been able to get that burnt image of this man bun beard combo out of my head ever since, and it's destroying me.
Can't say anything had that strong an effect on me.
Considering how bad Protein Jesus looks with his beard, that beard is rough.
It's terrible.
It's very pubic.
So yeah, so and it turns out as well, like his girlfriend is quite new to the group, I believe, or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And she seems quite a bit younger than him, and it seems like she's just like the trophy girlfriend sort of thing.
Yeah, this all comes to our attention when they're having this dinner party at the house, and Omar Gooding's girlfriend starts talking to her about, oh, you know, we share everything, yada yada yada. And Omar is taken inside by Protein Jesus, and he's shown these nudes that he's been sent by the coffee shop woman. And Omar Gooding's like, "You are the man. You are always the man."
Anyway, we move on to, I guess, like that's been the kind of the story set up for us to get to know the characters.
But also,
and
Protein
now,
Jesus starts telling a story at the dinner table, and Omar Gooding starts getting very uncomfortable, doesn't he? He's like, "Bro, why are you telling this story?"
yeah, I will get there as well. But the reason this is
You are
called
always
Escape,
the man.
the reason this is called Escape Puzzle of Fear is because the four of them end up being invited to do an escape room, and they go, and it all seems very normal.
Well,
Kind of?
again, let's get into how they get there. Like you just said, they get invited, but really, Omar Gooding gets a phone call from his mate. He's like, "Hey, y'all, my friend, he just had to cancel on his escape room, so there's a free ticket if you want to go." And everyone's like, he's like, "Come on, y'all, let's go." And in the end, Protein Jesus even agrees. And as soon as everyone agrees, he's like, "Hey, let's get the trailer up on TV." And he's like, "Pfft." The trailer comes on for the escape room, and then you get what is quite possibly the worst scene of talking heads you are ever likely to see. "Hey, I was in the escape room, and there was puzzle and fear."
Yeah, that was a great advertisement for it.
This is the kind of reason why I put this number one.
And so throughout, they're going through this escape room with like a bunch of other people who they didn't previously know. And as in all escape room horror movies, one or two people start sort of either disappearing or getting injured or whatever it might be. But I think going back to what you were saying, there's an underlying storyline from very early on.
You mean the flashbacks?
About this story and the flashbacks of the girlfriend as well. So this is another one where, unlike, I guess, with the Gallows, where it just completely baffled me because how could they ever do that twist, this one was the least dramatic build-up you have ever experienced because it was so clear right from the start what the end was going to be.
Yeah, well, it's made obvious at every single point. So with them having the conversation at dinner, which makes Omar Gooding uncomfortable before they get down to the fact of what is so bad about the story, then when we see the flashbacks, it's it's just given away that it's them, essentially, isn't it? There is nothing to hide. Although I say that, but Protein Jesus
has no idea.
What I'm saying is I call him Protein Jesus because he's just this kind of like a muscled up guy who looks like Jesus, basically. But in the flashbacks, he's this like really scrawny blonde guy with a completely different like facial structure and just everything, like completely different genetics. And later on it is mentioned, oh yeah, he got some surgery, but you'd have to have gotten a lot of surgery to have gone from this blonde scrawny thing to this guy within the space of 10 years, 12 years, something like that.
Yeah. She does say, "Oh, I could barely recognize you with your surgery." But the point was that we learned super early on that this little girl had her sister offed by Jesus guy, who is now her boyfriend. And as you said, like, we see them being very sexually active. So I was as soon as we figured out what was going on, I was like, this girl, like, she's willing to live with and sleep with and service this man for like 2 years before getting any revenge.
In the flashback.
And that, can we also say that this whole 2 years is like building up to this being the ultimate revenge.
the big ultimate revenge.
Anyway,
yeah.
Sorry, in the flashback.
Just in the flashback, our two main characters, Omar Gooding and Jesus, they've killed a little girl in a swimming pool. And the other little girl is witness when she gets taken away to a psychiatric unit or whatever for the rest of her days or so, it seems. And so he's gotten away with murder, essentially. as a youngster. Now he's got a successful life. So when they're invited to the escape room, when they get into the escape room, and all of the supposed actors of the piece are there, the storyline is about two guys or a guy who have previously killed young children and gotten away with it, and they have to work out this case. So when I was just saying that it's given away at every single point, it literally is just like in your face in that way, and yet the guy still walks around like completely clueless for like most of the movie, like, hey, what's all this about? Why is everything coming in parallel with my actual real life?
It's absolutely insane. And then the girlfriend is apparently dead as far as he knows in this escape room in the full exact outfit that she was wearing the day that they perpetrated the crime originally. So it's like,
yeah, I'm not sure if this sounds confusing or not,
but it was the most obvious sign of who she was, and yet Jesus man is still like, so what was it? Was it like an angry husband? You should be pleased. She was a cheating whore and stuff like this, because it turns out he's just been like offing people for ages.
There's another flashback where...
And that's why he picked up the mummy in the coffee shop.
Yeah, and there's another flashback where Jesus... It might even be Coffee Shop Girl, I'm not sure. Probably not. But there's a flashback where he's got a woman tied up in like a storage cupboard or something like this. And when he walks in and starts talking to her, she starts to scream for help, but not really scream, because what I've written it down is she's like, help, help, help. There's no sense of terror from there whatsoever. Yeah, essentially, not that she's just about to be stabbed through the throat or whatever.
That kind of brings me to my overriding, like, most annoying point in this, which was the performances.
Well, the guy who plays Jesus,
cow.
he also produced this movie, but his performance is just on another level of something that I don't even know how to describe it.
Oh, it was so bad. And then we get the girlfriend who's been very, like, again, doe-eyed and innocent, even though we obviously know she's setting
Jesus'
it all up.
girlfriend.
Yeah.
Right.
And then she obviously, like, kind of comes to, because she faked being dead there in her little cat outfit.
Yeah, and also, I mentioned that they've killed this little girl in a swimming pool. So when you're at the scene that you're talking about where she's wearing this cat face paint and stuff, in this part of the escape room where Jesus man is and Omar is and stuff, she's sitting in what is a pink and yellow paddling pool, because they're trying that the escape room is trying to mimic what happened in real life, and they're having this dramatic scene. And I get what they're going for. Oh yeah, let's put a pool in there to signify, that he killed a little girl in the pool. But all you get is four really bad actors just arguing around a yellow and pink paddling pool, which just makes it ultra comical.
But then she gets to, switch her performance, because now she's no longer pretending to be so innocent. So she's explaining to him exactly how this has all happened. And during her time in a mental asylum, because she was falsely accused of having been her sister's murderer.
She has a nice wig in the mental asylum, remember?
Oh, God, the wig. She gets friendly, apparently, with loads of other patients who are all as well released and available to her. So they're the ones who've all gotten together to not only concoct the plan, but also act in the actual situation.
I guess mental institute patients have a lot of time on their hands where they can reenact escape rooms and just leave the facility whenever they want to, enact this revenge that's been planned. And also,
even though the doctor in a lot of the flashbacks has apparently been faceless, it seems pretty obvious. It turns out he's also involved. He's one of the attendants of the escape rooms we see first. And he was, he's been her doctor since she was a little girl. So, of course, he wants to help her.
Yeah, and there's also a character called Tabitha, who is one of the, workers at the escape room. She's got the blazer on, and she's hanging around with the older gentleman. And yeah, her performance was, again, another thing that put this at number one for me. It was something extra special.
Yeah. Commitment.
Oh, yeah, commitment up the wazoo, yeah. Maybe she should be committed.
Oh, dear. Well, she probably was. She was probably one of the friends who helped out. And then, so after all of this, so this girl has been planning since childhood to get revenge on the guy who not only got rid of her sister, but then also let her take the blame and be institutionalized for however long. And she concludes that the way to do this is to date him and let him, be with you for a couple of years, and in the meanwhile set up an escape room in which to then frame him for the murder of someone else.
I don't know if the filmmakers were thinking like, oh, this would be like really sickening, and it will, it will blow people's minds that a little girl who's seen her friend murdered then plans for the rest of her life to date this guy and sexually please him for 2 years before finally turning the tables on him and revealing that she's also going out of his friend, who also was, part of the murder. So I'm not quite sure why she just ended Protein Jesus and not Omar as well.
I also thought it was incredibly selfish that she apparently, had all the info on him through contacts of hers, whatever.
Yeah.
And she knew perfectly well that he was going around killing innocent women left, right, and centre. And she still was like,
Maybe that's part of her darkness.
I'm going to wait until, the moment's right for this escape room.
That's what the filmmakers were going for. This movie is so raw.
Absolutely shocking.
So carnal.
And in the end, yeah, so he does actually kill someone accidentally. Well, actually, no, not accidentally, but I mean, like, he doesn't realise who it is that he's offed. And then, yeah, the police storm the place. And again, even though there's inconsistencies here, because, all her mates are, like, giving her backup in the stories of testimony of what happened. And, like, one of them's like, yeah, he must have just not realised I was in the room. And then the SWAT team came in. And I was like, but you actually weren't in the room. And surely the SWAT team would be aware of that. And that would be a glaring mistake in your testimony. And the whole thing is thrown in the air.
Yeah. But again, considering the quality of what's already come, not surprising. There's quite an ironic part where the four main characters of the movie, they've just come into the escape room and they're interacting with the so-called actors, and one of them is a policewoman who's behind her desk. And she kind of like breaks her character because they're all laughing at her performance.
Yeah.
But her performance is actually better than... Her performance as a real actress is better than everyone else's performance who was laughing at her at that point, which you can only get in this kind of movie.
This was just... It was so low quality in pretty
Low
much
IQ,
every way.
Just low everything. Yeah.
I can't think of many redeeming factors to this.
It was pretty... It was funny.
Not the worst thing we've ever seen.
It was
but
unintentionally
then
funny.
the bar isn't that high.
Some of the performances are worth seeing for, again, comic value. Some of the dialogue, you're always the man. Stuff like that is right up my alley. Number 1, escape. Puzzle of fear. There might be, I think there might be a second one of these as well.
And there's also a really deep message at the end, I believe, from the Doctor. I don't remember.
Yeah,
Something about revenge.
So deep that I don't remember it. Yeah, revenge. Revenge is a dish best served cold. Maybe that's...
But it was, worth sitting through the whole film to get that reverberate through me.
Yeah, it was a quote for the ages.
And that's all for this week. So I don't know if we could recommend any of those, but then we'll let you decide.
Well, any character that can be referred to as Protein Jesus is probably worth at least checking out for 5 minutes, I guess.
And maybe just skip to the end of Dead Sea and just like, whoa, Fireface.
Yeah, I'm yet to see that. Just
Goes on
again
for quite a
because
while
of your impression. I don't need to see. You've just outdone the one that's clearly on film, so no need.